Okay, so this is the part 2 of what was her name again? Miss Parks. Yeah, this is part 2 of Miss Parks. I'm going to be showing some text messages. I wanted to do it in the first video, but it ended up being way too long, and I didn't have no space to edit it in. And so basically, this is from the beginning, not the beginning, this is from during the defect situation. So this was something that took place during the time of the part 4 channel, and it was definitely after 2/28/22 when they had already deleted most of the videos, because I remember this was around the time I told Miss Parks that I was feeling suicidal and depressed because I was really upset about how the whole video thing had went with CPS snitching, not to mention all the chaos that was going on. And of course, my older enabler sister trying to turn my younger siblings against me and make them feel like they were... Basically, it's like when I would talk about the things that went on, she would make my siblings feel like this was about them instead of it really just being about my mom, her boyfriend, and anybody else who enables and plays flying monkey. And basically, she was trying to make my siblings feel like I was making them perpetrators too. I mean, definitely since I'm the scapegoat, they're going to be turned against me. But at the end of the day, anybody in there who's under 18, it doesn't have the rights to leave as a victim too. But anywho, there was a lot going on. And this was during the point in time where they would come in the bathroom and pat me down for phones and stuff. And so, really, ever since the first time I moved in with my mom in 2016, she didn't want me to have a phone because she felt like I told my dad everything that went on in her house, because that was during the point in time way before I really accepted and realized what was going on. So I was still letting my mom and my dad do this back and forth thing where when my mom would do something, my dad would play hero or claim he was going to play hero, because for a lot of the Munchausen situation, like the beginning where I was getting locked up, which I was only ever locked up 3 times, but it felt like 100. But anyway, when I was getting locked up, he would be in a whole nother state because that was when he had this one girlfriend that lived in WV. But anyway, that's another story. So, Mom didn't want me to have a phone because she felt like, not because she felt like, because I would tell my dad about there not really being any food, and so sometimes he would bring something, or at least my grandma would. Well, actually, no, that was what my mom said, because I had to think about it. When my grandma would bring stuff over, it would be because it was just something that she knows that I like. So she would bring me Noddy Cocoa and stuff. And anyway, it made my mom mad. And then I would tell him, being my dad, about the things going on with my mom and her husband sometimes. Because there was a lot going on, because as people may know, that was the one that had put the gun in her head. But anyway, to get back on topic. So, I always had to have a lot of secret phones. And then, of course, after defect snitched about the fact that I had over 1,950 plus abuse evidence videos, and my older enabler sister, my mom's boyfriend, and them went through it and started trying to delete as much stuff as possible. And they compromised my main email since 2016 and all of that. They were really worried about me still secretly having phones. And so they took the one that I came there with, that was my main phone, and then they had took these 2 other phones that I had from 2018, which didn't even really work. So I'll never understand how they managed to get in there, because they got in one, and then they did something to where I don't really know what they did, but it said that I had to put in my old email and a password to get in, and they kept trying to get me to do it. And they were just doing that to throw it up in my face, because I'm like, how am I supposed to get in the phone by putting in the email password when you guys know you changed the email passwords? But yeah, anyway. So that's what this was during, and so that's why I was in the bathroom. In fact, I remember because after the whole, during the whole suicidal thing, I made sure I brought in my school laptop too to make it seem like I didn't have a phone and to make it seem like I was just emailing her. Since Miss Parks worked at the school, which I talk about all that in the part 1. And my mom she had been took my school laptop actually, but I had got it back for a little while. And in reality, you really can't do anything on there. But anywho, so when I told Miss Parks that I was suicidal and depressed because of the whole video thing, she called the police. And I didn't know it was her at first. And I thought maybe it was my therapist, which I don't really know at what point, but my mom had cursed them all out and threatened them and told the therapist and the other mental health professionals that work at that place that they couldn't talk to me anymore. And one day, the lady had told me, because she was like, I noticed that you're still messaging me. And she was like, did your mom ever let you know that she told us that we can't talk to you anymore? Because my mom felt like they were reporting the Munchausen and whatever else. And so I thought it was her for a while because I had told her about the situation too, but it was Miss Parks. And so my mom was mad that the police had came and all that. Sorry I couldn't answer. I can only be in the bathroom but for so long because they pat me down for phones, and if I am in here too long, they try to break in. Now my mom is fake crying on the phone with someone about how me and the social worker lied on her and how she doesn't know what the accusations were that were said. I think I'm dissociating again. My mom is on the phone with the pod staff. That's the special self-confined staff, by the way. And fake crying, and she said I keep calling CPS on them, and my mom just told them the only thing I can do is do my part. The pod staff are gaslighting themselves, so I'm sure they'll jump on her bandwagon. She told the pod staff, the recorder had turned off, but anyway, she told the pod staff they went through my phone and found a voicemail from CPS, and she told the lady she doesn't know if my viewers from YouTube or the people from Reddit, because I was in support groups that somebody from the Part 1 channel had advised me to get on. Reddit pager giving me advice and calling CPS for me. She told them the guy from the autism clinic had been set up for me to have a new evaluation this month, and she told me everything that happens in this evaluation is going to be on me. Okay, so this is kind of a long story, but I think I can make it short. So basically, back in 2020, when I was still with my dad, she claimed that she was going to let me get a reevaluation if I moved in with her. Well, I was going to have to move back in with her anyway because my grandma was going to kick me out again because she said if my dad didn't get a place in 5 months, she was going to kick me out. Plus, my dad has started doing all that crazy stuff, and he picked back up where my mom had left off with the Munchausen. And so I was like, well, Dad and a whole bunch of other things were going on, and I was like, I might as well just go back. And so, yeah, that was it. But anywho, she told me she was going to let me get a reevaluation, and that we were just going to blame all my trauma on my dad, and she was going to let me get a PTSD diagnosis, which I wouldn't even have that. I would have CPTSD because that's when it starts in childhood. But anyway, she said that, and so it was something else. But that's the main thing I remember. Basically, that's what she said was going to happen. But after getting down there, I had completely forgot all about that because it was never mentioned again. And I have a playlist about how my mom, quote unquote, tricked me into moving back. Because she felt like she was tricking me into moving back, I think. But I was going to have to move back anyway. And I already wanted to. But she was telling me things like nobody's worried about the diagnosis anymore. And we've changed and all that bullcrap. I forgot about that for a while too. So after like 3 months of being down there, I remembered all that, as well as the thing that she had said about my stimulus money from Christmas that was supposed to go to my dad that she took and used to get a car because it went to her instead of him for whatever reason. But that's a whole nother story. So all of that is in that playlist. I have to find it if I even still have it, but I'm pretty sure I do on the part 5 channel because that was supposed to be like the part 1 channel reboot. And so anyway, months and months later, while I was in the self-confined placement, or either after I had already stopped going, I finally had this evaluation appointment. This would have been the first real evaluation I've ever actually went to because mental facilities don't actually do evaluations. They keep people in there for as long as possible before the medical insurance company stops paying, and they put a random diagnosis on the paper, and then they send the kid back to their abuse situation. That's why a lot of people will go in mental facilities and come out with the same diagnosis, which is usually bipolar. But anyway, so I went to this evaluation, and the psychologist was mad because I was talking too much, because I was really trying to make sure that something stupid didn't happen, because I don't know what my mom told him, because of course she had her time where she got to spend 3 hours telling them whatever in the world upstairs, and then it was my turn to fill out the paperwork. But basically this psychologist didn't finish the evaluation because she was mad that I kept talking, and they opened at 10 and they closed at 12 or something, which was really, really weird. It was something like that. But basically, she was ready to go, and she had other people that she had to do, and so she wanted me to hurry up. And basically, she said that due to my previous diagnosis history and what I said, because I shouldn't have, but I had already let it be known that by this point in time, I had already been found out what problems I actually had mentally from the trauma. Because, like I said, in 2020, when I had that awakening of what was actually going on, I found out the actual terms for the abuse that I was going through. And then later on down the line, I did more research on all personality disorders and CPTSD and all that, and a lot of different things. And I found out what problems I actually had mentally. I had already knew since I was 8 that I had hypersexuality disorder because I started doing research about that then. But that's kind of like a side thing that is never mentioned, at least not the mental health professionals, because my mom, I mean, she would never talk about any of the problems that I actually had. But anywho, so this lady said that due to what I was saying in my previous diagnosis history, she basically just felt like I had factitious disorder and that I just wanted labels, which this isn't the first time that I've got blamed for the Munchausen situation. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then my mom wouldn't even let me see the evaluation results for months and months and months on end. I don't even think she let me see the evaluation results till a little. In fact, yeah, it wasn't until a little before I tried to move out last year that she had finally let me see the evaluation results. And so my mom ended up not even giving it to the SPED staff. But that's what that situation was. And with the autism clinic thing, I have videos about this too. But basically, she wanted to get autism put back on paper because it was a lot of mess. But just like with the other diagnoses, the doctors kept saying that they knew that none of that stuff was true. And they didn't feel like I was autistic. But I mean, at the end of the day, I already have a video on the MH Truth channel about all this stuff and how there really isn't a test for autism, because it's really just the doctor trying to pathologize the fact that people are wired different, that everybody's not the same. That's a whole nother story. So anyway, she wanted autism put back on paper. So she lied to me and told me I was finally going to the doctor for my pelvic floor pains. Lo and behold, we get there. No. Actually, that's not even what happened. I remember now, which I have a whole video about this. When we were in the Medicaid transportation, or whatever the insurance was called, she started talking about how mad she was that the lady was trying to pick everybody up at once and was making us late for my appointment, because my mom was like, it took months for me to get this appointment for her to go to this autism clinic. And basically she was doing that Munchausen pity me thing in the transportation and talking to the other people that were in there. And so we got there. My mom she wouldn't even let me see the thing that she was filling out for the autism symptoms. and she just kept telling me to move because I was trying to see what she was filling out and what she was doing. And so she gave it to the dude, and then it came. I don't really know what he said, but it came back for autism. I don't know what level or whatever. And so she gave it to the sped staff because she was supposedly lied to and told that the special ed self-confined Jim Crow era SSBC EBD placement. She claimed she was told that was going to be a special school for autism, but it wasn't. So that's that whole situation. They even deleted the videos on the MH Truth channel, and that was only about pill side effects and different people's stories about mental hospital experiences, which was really about the Cash for Kids system and different people's experiences. So, like, the breaking code silence and all that. But anyway, she's playing victim with the people from the school, and they were talking about how it's supposedly illegal for me to record abuse evidence. I shouldn't have even had to do that anyway, but every time authorities would get involved, they would bring up the diagnosis and the authorities wouldn't even talk to me. And then I said, whoops, never mind, my mom said it was you. Because, basically this lady was playing both sides. I understand that you feel the way you do. I have to do my job too and consider all parties involved. You have an open case with defect/CPS. You have people that are listening. Now the outcome is in their hands. Suicide is not the answer. I will keep in touch with you all next week. Be safe. Be safe because the world is not pretty. Be mindful what you do on the internet and people you do not know. Okay, I'm hoping that I'll have enough space to edit all of this together. But, yeah, so that was what she said to all of that. And something I noticed with her is that there was never any accountability. She'd either change the subject or she'd do some weird love bombing thing, or she'd do that thing that a lot of people do when they're confronted about not helping, and they start saying stuff like, just be good, you'll get through it, I know it hurts, and all that bull crap, and the world isn't a good place, and all that stuff that people like to say. I hate when people would even say things like that, because obviously from my situation, I already know that the world isn't pretty, so it's like, I just hate it when people did that. But yeah, so basically, she was just trying to take no accountability and make up excuses for why she wasn't helping or doing anything that she was supposed to do. But that's why I say the best realization to have is that there is no system put in place to help anybody in the first place, especially anyone under 18. You have to accept the fact that you have to be the one to help and save yourself, and that there is no system put in place to help or save you, or really anybody else, especially anybody who's not a perpetrator. That's honestly one of the most healing realizations to have, because other than that, you're going to fall into a victim complex, and you're going to be stuck in your abuse situation well past 18, and you're going to be like those people in their 30s who are posting on support groups about how their parents won't let them leave and how their parents won't let them get a job and how they've been infantilized and isolated their whole life, and they don't even know how to use a microwave, and they can't drive, and they're not allowed to talk to anybody, they've never been allowed to date anybody, and all that stuff. If you don't realize you have to help and save yourself, you're going to be stuck in the abusive family system, whatever abuse situation, scared to leave, talking about how the neighbors are going to snitch and all that stuff. You really just have to, well, basically just do it. That's all you really can do. You just have to leave, because nobody else is going to save you. And like I talk about in the MH Truth channel, which actually that's not even the name of that anymore, but like I talk about on there, if you stay in an unhealthy environment too long, you're going to start splitting into schizophrenia. Your mind's going to start splitting because of trauma and all that. Or you're going to have to become just like your abusers or worse to survive around them. Or you're just going to end up dead. Not to mention the fact that a lot of people really get tired and they start wanting to defend themselves. And once you become homicidal in an abuse situation, due to the fact that people under 18 don't have rights to self-defense, and people who were in deadly abuse situations commonly don't have rights to defend themselves, the victims don't, that's going to be really, really risky, and you're going to end up in jail for the rest of your life for no reason, and you're not going to deserve to be in there. That's how that goes. You can end up like Gypsy Rose Blanchard, or like really any other abused kid, to be truthfully honest. And the thing is, in the U.S., they love giving kids life sentences for stupid stuff. The most, even things that have nothing to do with homicide, quote unquote homicide anyway. You could trying to think of an example. I mean, for one, with the many branches of Cash for Kids system, you could end up locked up for the rest of your life in a placement you can't even sign yourself out of till 18, where you don't get a sentence. So let's say you get into a fight with somebody, which I actually know somebody who this happened to, and he ended up developing ASPD in the mental health system. But anyway, he got into a fight with this boy who almost killed his little brother, and so he fought the person. And because for one, the person was too old to even be hitting his brother anyway. But yeah, so he fought the person. They ended up going into a coma because he hit him in the head too hard. He got put in a mental facility, and then he ended up going into foster care. Well, I mean, obviously he was already in a bad situation previously, but yeah, so you get into these placements, and then you end up getting transferred to different parts of the Cash for Kids system, and then you're really stuck. That's why I tell people, you should really leave while you have the chance. Because if you fall in the deeper parts of the Cash for Kids system, you can get into parts where either you go crazy in there, which that can happen in an abuse situation anyway, no matter what it is, or you can't sign yourself out till 18 and you're stuck. And then, of course, at 18, you're thrown out onto the streets and you don't know how to take care of yourself because you've never been allowed to do anything or go anywhere or work or cook or even shower without being watched. Because that's the whole goal of these systems, to mess people up, keep people from meeting their true purpose, and all those different things that I talk about all the time. So, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. And then this other thing. I remember in the beginning of me getting a support group, somebody had told me that, well, this was either on a support group or this was just a comment on one of the YouTube videos back on the Part 1 channel, or one of the channels before the Part 4. But anyway, somebody told me that, honestly, I should be more focused on getting out than proving I'm sane, because, like I said before, it took a while for me to actually accept the fact that everybody around knew that my mom was lying. It took for a couple people to say, not just my dad's girlfriends in 2020, but more people. So in GA, luckily the doctors and other people, teachers and all of that, would come to me saying, well, you know, your mom's telling us that you're slow and we don't know why she's telling, just different stuff like that. And after a while, I finally realized and accepted that it's not even that people actually believe the diagnosis. They just pretend to, because they don't want to help anyway. And because really, even though they're called quote unquote mandated reporters and they claim their job is to help, it's really not, because there is no system put in place to help people under 18. All of the acceptance that I had to do is what further helped me in actually doing what I needed to do and just leaving. Which, as you know, went really left last year because of what I call let me help you lunatics. That's another story. But as of right now, it's going pretty well. And I just have to make it till 18. Because, as you may know, if I was to even go back, my mom was trying to do the conservatorship thing like she was trying to do with my other scapegoat sister. So I would be at risk of just being really out of luck well past 18 plus. But yeah, all you really can do is leave, to be truthfully honest. It's the only thing that's gonna work. It's the only thing that isn't risky. I mean, of course there's a risk, but like if you really know what you're doing and you're 15 plus, unless your parents are rich, the police aren't gonna look if you're 15 plus. And in some states it's 12 actually. In either West Virginia or Virginia, they stop carrying at 12, especially if you run away a lot of times. And then if you can just get to a place where you have enough services to at least go somewhere to get canned goods, you'll pretty much be okay. But I mean, I know the longer wait you have till 18, the worse it is. So it's really, really bad for the people that have to leave a situation at 12 or 13. But I mean, it's possible and people do it. I mean, it's not going to be easy. Nothing's going to be easy. But it's definitely better to be in a healthy situation.